We shall be considering communication killers. As we all know the importance of communication in marriage, it's a very important factor that strengthens, that keeps the marriage going, and that determines so many things about the marriage. However, there are certain factors that are conscious and unconscious weapons that people must use to defend themselves, to prevent further discussion on any issue. So they use this method to probably defend themselves or to stop or to halt a kind of discussion from proceeding. One of them is explosion. Explosion is a natural reaction to one's shortcoming to explode rather than facing the issue honestly. So instead of facing the issue, discussing the issue, settling it honestly, they use this method of explosion to halt or to stop the discussion from continuing. So it is an expression of inner weakness or hostility. So it's an expression of inner weakness or hostility. It is an attempt to cover up one's psychological nakedness. So mostly people use this method to cover up one's or their psychological nakedness. So it's not a good weapon at all. It destroys marriage, it destroys communication and alt communication. Another weapon is tears, mostly used by women, but sometimes a melancholic or sanguine man could also resort to it. It's an attempt to cover up one's defeat, thus preventing further discussion. So people that takes to tears always tend to cover up their defeat and thereby preventing further discussion. The moment they start crying, of course, people there or whoever is there may not want to be interested in further investigation or further discussion on such issue. So it's an attempt to cover up their defeats and to further prevent further discussion. It is a sentimental act to prevent facing reality. The way of preventing facing the actual thing or the reality. So they tends to break the communication or break the discussion or break the investigation so that the actual fact will not be discovered. So stop telling me, it means that they are saying that stop telling me my shortcoming or else I will cry. Do not despise your partner's tears. Be patient and be kind and present the issue at another time when your partner will be less moved. So in such a situation, you have to actually even if you are stopping the discussion for that moment, you break it for that moment and try to continue at a better time when that individual will be in a better mood and they will not be crying or tears at that material time. So when you stop the discussion, you can further continue it probably later. Another method is silence. Silence could be a very dangerous weapon. Another dangerous weapon. So a lot of older and highly spiritual Christians use it as a form of maturity or spirituality. So silence is when people refuse to say a word. They remain silent. They are reserved. They keep to themselves. By so doing, you may not really know what their plans could be or what their next action will be. So it's one of the very dangerous weapons. So silence could be very dangerous. So a lot of older and higher spiritual Christians use it as a form of maturity or spirituality. So most Christians, are engaged in this or indulge in this. Silence eliminates communication completely and takes a very high, heavy toll physically and spiritually upon a person. Silence eliminates communication completely and takes a heavy toll physically and spiritually upon a person. It takes tremendous power to be silent for a long period. Such power fuels anger and inner bitterness. Anger is a leading cause of ulcer, hypertension, insomnia, and neurosis. Now, people that indulge in silence are killing themselves gradually and indirectly because it takes a tremendous power to be silent for a long period. So while they are keeping silent to themselves, such power fuels anger. So there will be anger, serious one, and inner bitterness. And anger will also lead or always lead to ulcer. When you hear ulcer, majority is caused by this kind of situation. Hypertension, insomnia, unable to sleep, and neurosis. This could be caused. All this can be caused through this method of silence. So silence is not the solution to an issue that should be discussed or resolved. Importantly, we should note that silence is not the solution to an issue that should be discussed or resolved. So whenever there's an issue, try to discuss it and resolve it amicably without postponing it or procrastinating. So settle it on time and resolve it on time and let life continue. Silence gives room for assumption and may create the wrong impression in your partner. So silence gives rooms to assumption. The partner will going to assume many things that are even wrong, that may not even be possible, or that are not even real. Give room to assumption and may create the wrong impression in your partner. It creates confusion on any issue. So silence creates confusion on any issue. The other partner will conclude wrongly and take wrong decision and assume so many things wrongly. So it's better any issue is discussed and resolved amicably. It is not a mark of spirituality, but a silent destroyer of the foundation of marriage. So what the belief that many have on this method of silence, that probably is a method of spirituality, is strong. It's never a mark of spirituality, but a silent destroyer of the foundation of marriage. Rather, it destroys the basic foundation of such marriage. Now, how do you react during communication? How do you react during communication? 1. Be a very good listener. No matter how difficult. Listen attentively to your communication, to your partner. Listen attentively to your partner. Be an active listener without being judgmental. Listen attentively and don't be judgmental. Know what your partner is saying first. Consider it. Think about it before you talk. Keep calm in the midst of outbursts. When there's any form of outburst or confusion or any argument, keep calm. Think and pray carefully before you act. Do not fail to act when necessary. Do not fail to say what you need to say or act when necessary. Accept frank and constructive argument with maturity. Any frank and constructive arguments or decision, opinion or suggestion should be handled maturely and should be considered. Do not defend yourself when confronted about faults or weaknesses. Don't try to always defend yourself when your partner is pointing out your faults or your weaknesses. Don't try to defend yourself or to build a defense around yourself that what he or she is saying is wrong. No. Think about it, consider it, and if necessary, amend your ways. See matters from your partner's viewpoints, even when your view is right and more suitable. So you must always consider the opinion of your partner. Look at issue from his or her own point of view, even when you feel you are right or what you say is the best. Do not interrupt your spouse when he or she is talking. Whenever your spouse is talking or making an argument or a discussion, don't interrupt. Don't shut him or her down. That keep quiet or don't disturb me. No. Listen attentively. Don't try to interrupt. Make sure your interpreter, or make sure you interpret correctly what is being said. Make sure you interpret what your partner is saying correctly. Don't misinterpret him or her. So these are some of the ways that you should react during discussion. These are the few ways you should react during discussion. I take it again. Be a very good listener. Be an active listener. Keep calm in the midst of outbursts. Do not fail to act when necessary. Accept frank and constructive argument with maturity. Do not defend yourself when confronted by faults and weaknesses. See matters from your partner's viewpoints. Do not interrupt your spouse when he or she is talking. Make sure you interpret correctly what is being said. So these are the few things that you need to do to make your discussion fruitful. Thank you.